Hello, welcome once again to the hand building class. Katy McFadden here, and I just wanted to start the class out, or even the whole class, with a thought to begin with, like, why clay? Why are we continuing to make things in clay? This is a medium that has been used for thousands and thousands of years. And I honestly think that it really helped to change the direction and development of mankind and society. We first started out as hunters and gatherers. People were on the move constantly. When they discovered clay, which was thousands of years ago, they could be more stationary. They could grow food. They could use the clay as containers to store the food in. So why clay? It connects us with this old survival technique that is very important to know, and it connects us with a language that's been used by mankind for thousands of years. So I'm just going to do a quick review over here. It's like, oh no, not another YouTube how-to movie. Here we are. I'll move over into this area. I'm going to look first of all at some small slabs that are now in the leather hard stage and revisit hand building with hard slabs. And I've chosen to kind of pursue with this kind of construction an idea that I want incorporated in it. What I'm going to do with these hard slabs, I'm working with theme. I want to build a series of altars. And I will ask students to participate in this in one of their own projects. I'll elucidate on it more in another text. But from here, I want to go back to the technique. I've laid the one slab down flat. I've scored it up on one side, moisten it. A soft coil of clay is then added. I score up one end of the other leg, bottom and sides, dip it in a little bit of moisture, and apply pressure into the soft slab below. Lightly pinching that on both sides. And normally I would just let this sit up for a little bit, adjust it in the angle I want it to be, outward a little. And before I flip it over, I want it to stiffen up so it doesn't move. It's going to be that hard edge construction. So go back to the pinch forms, adding on to some of the pinch forms that you did a couple days ago. If you wanted to enlarge them, this one I left on the thick side because I want to have a counterweight to a larger construction up over. So score it up, add a little bit of moisture, and with this one I'm just going to roll out a simple coil of clay. And if your canvas starts to get a little bit dry and absorb the moisture from the clay quickly, take a big sponge, moisten it. Don't wet it, but moisten it so that the clay won't stick to it and won't dry out. If it starts to dry out too much on the surface, it will crack. So with that moisture, I'm able to get kind of a uniform coil, to which I'm going to add simply by applying a little bit of pressure down onto the inside of the form. You can add it on the outside of the form. You can feather it up, join more in here. There are numerous YouTubes on these simple hand building techniques. So I'm going to encourage you to go to many sites, and I will list on the Moodle site ones that I can recommend for you. It's good to have many teachers, and these are some pretty basic techniques that I'm pursuing here. Others who are more video expert will have more elaborate presentations, so it's fun to kind of explore a little bit. So I'm going to work with a larger rib, join that coil on the inside, support it on the outside, and start to pull the clay up. So from here I can continue to add on and add on and add on. The bottom is stiff enough, it's thick enough that I could probably build a piece to about this big. So for one of your pinch pieces, I'd like to see an extension on the pinch form using coils or slabs that brings the piece to approximately 6 inches. It could be a closed form, it does not have to be a functional form, but I'd like to see that you can handle the material and you can build to scale of at least 6 inches. So at least on one of the pinch forms. On maybe the other pinch form, you might want to think of it as a cup. Once again, online they have many demos on how to make handles coil or pulled. So with that, I want to step back here. I want to talk about some of the ideas that I'm pursuing with them. You can see one that's over here. And I'm thinking of them as a combination of armor and vessel at the same time. A little bit on the technique. It's a very large slab on the very first one to give me a little height. And then it's all thinner pieces added on. And I like to work with this little turntable underneath so that I can see it three-dimensionally while I'm building these pieces. And right now, I'm at the stage that I am going to design a head for this. I'm not quite sure whether it'll be a human head or an animal head. That will come to me as I'm working. This one, you'll notice that I have a piece of newspaper on the top of it. I worked on it yesterday. I dampen a piece of newspaper, put plastic over it, and that way I'm sure that this top rim, which I'm adding to, will accept the softer clay. So that's a little bit more of the technical information that will give you the tools to move forward with your own projects. So with that, we're going to move another piece into the middle of the room, or maybe the camera. So to echo back to the way I began, so why clay? Why work with clay? It connects our hands, our hearts, our minds. It's really important to come to that place where it's whole like that. That's why clay. Clay is one of many tools that I have found that can bring me to that place of the hand, the heart, and the mind are connected. You're out of time. That's a wonderful place to be. So, and the other part that I have not talked about is one that at this point I'm hoping will evolve with us, that we need community. It takes a whole community to make this process possible. It's a communal endeavor from the people who mine it and dig it and process it and mix the clay bodies and deliver it, and people who fire it. It takes a community, and it's one that people are joined with this particular art form. This was a piece that got away from me. It started to get too dry, and I thought, oh, if I try to continue building on it, I'll have cracking. Know when to stop. And this is a case that I think of turning lemons into lemonade. So I couldn't join it the way that I wanted to. Let's see what happens if I drape a slab into the form and turn it into a vessel to collect water for birds. Birds like shallow vessels. And so what I did was draped a slab of clay into the form below, which was leather hard, 2 pieces of newspaper in between, so this did not stick. So this therefore is a drape mold. It is separate from the bottom because this way, well, first of all, it had gotten too dry to add on to it, got away from me. And second of all, I can then use it again for another drape mold if I wanted to make 2 or 3 or 4 multiples. So, with that, I'm looking forward to working with you. It's important that we stay safe and protect ourselves and enjoy your time with the material. Thanks for visiting.